This is
collecting data. If you're going to do it, then stick
just about
just push go.
Ready to go. He's pushed it.
Count down, gents, if you can.
We'll have to. We'll fudge it down time.
Okay.
Because I've already pushed it.
The three of you, and just the three of you, perhaps Mark will also do a sort of 3, 2, 1 push go or something like that. Okay, on the count of 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
Tremendous.
Yep. So we started.
We're in business.
Yeah. So come back in there.
3.5 hours.
Eat a lot of sandwiches.
The sandwiches are...
How many hours do you want, Mark?
Well, the same caveat as before, as long as we can stand to stay up here.
12 hours?
As long as
so
ties
we've
in
just
with other
started, and it is
B's going down, Graham, so we'll watch B.
20 past 9, and the plan was to try and get data collection by 8:30. So that's not bad. It's taken quite a bit of time to sort the cables out, and you can see the sort of rig up that we got here. Here's Steve, just behind.
Time with it, I think.
Yeah, well, again,
we've now got it on the highest point.
I think,
which before we hadn't quite, so I think it was worth doing that.
So, do you want to give a quick rundown, Graham, of what sort of happened since we come up here?
Sorry, what?
A quick sort of rundown of what's been happening.
Right. Well, when we came up and did the recce, if you remember, we didn't have enough cable, and we had to set it up on Eve. But Eve is about 5 centimetres lower than Adam.
Usually flips.
So when we came this time, we brought an extra length of pole and some extra cable to see if we could set it up on the very highest point itself without having to level across to it. And thanks to your good self, we were able to achieve that, and we've now secured it firmly to the very summit of the hill. And we've just started to collect data.
So we've tied it to the block using what?
Some bits of washing line, I think, and some climbing rope. And bubble wrap from your good self.
So we're surveying Tryfan with washing line, bit of climbing rope and a bit of bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sounds good, doesn't it? But the climbing rope's gone around once, hasn't it? Securely in place. And that's about 2/3 of the way up the block?
Yes, it's more than that, it's nearly at the top actually, isn't it? It's securing it really firmly at the top. And the washing line is about halfway down, and we've gone round twice with that and looped it round the pole, and that's holding that firmly to the rock as well. Again, a bit of bubble wrap just to give it a bit of play, and it's holding really well.
And we stabilised the bottom.
Yeah, we've got rocks at the bottom, which you found for us.
And then
they're holding it in place.
And then the cables feeding from the antennae dish, that's coming down to.
It's coming down to a block which is about halfway up Adam, and we've been able to secure the rucksack to that again with a couple of rocks underneath the straps which are holding it firmly in place. So we seem to have a good stable setup here.
And then it doesn't mean a thing, but just purely for excitement.
You want to know what the height is?
Yeah, the unprocessed, and this is not accurate, but
it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean a thing. But currently it says wow.
It says 919.382.
So. Yeah, but
it
again,
doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean a thing. That could be either 3 or 4 metres below that, or 3 or 4 metres above, doesn't it?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So.
What are you looking for? What is the figure in metres? The height on the map is 915, and 3,000 feet is 914.4 metres. So it's reading 5 metres higher at the moment. That's good.
So if I come over to Mark. Now, this is wandered up with Mark, very good companion coming up the hill. So, Mark Greaves, geodetic analyst extraordinaire. So, as far as data collection is concerned, Mark, do you want to give us sort of a rundown on the advantages and disadvantages between 2 hours and plus 2 hours?
Well, with generally any GPS survey, the more data you get, the more observations you collect. Just the law of averages says the better your answer should be. But the way that the survey data is handled and processed, there's generally a good trade-off between 2 and 4 hours. For various reasons. Once you push more towards 4 hours, you have more options within the processing stage to calculate more of the errors and remove more of the things that are affecting the signal. Whereas with 2 hours of data, some of the techniques that remove those errors are struggling with just 2 hours. But when you go to 4 hours, they have a comfortable chunk of data to play with, so you start to get a lot better accuracy out of the data.
So today, obviously for ordnance survey verification, there's something with 2 hours of data collection?
We'll still be happy with 2 hours, yeah, but if we can stay up here a bit longer, and the more the merrier. As I've always said, as long as we can stand to stay up here for, then we'll collect some data.
Well, through experience with John and Graham, they're on for all day, I think.
I'm not.
Well, I'm not. I'm going to run out of sandwiches, I think.
Food.
But I suspect we'll give it a go for 3 hours.
Yeah, I
probably
think that sounds
minimum.
like a good compromise.
Yeah, because it's about 9:20 when you all counted down and we set it to go. The plan was before coming up here. Was it 8:30?
That was
yeah, or even before actually. But yeah,
and
so
we were actually here for about 8:30, but the setup obviously just took a little bit longer than anticipated.
Yeah. But it seems pretty secure there, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice and stable.
Looks rather impressive. And surprisingly, the blocks weren't greasy. But I still wouldn't fancy jumping on them today.
No, I don't think so, not today.
Yeah. Well, cheers, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if John's got anything to say. He's eating
a second breakfast.
he's eating his sandwiches. Well, if I come back to John in about 30 seconds, he's still eating his pie. He shouldn't be eating anymore. So, anything else to say, Graham?
No, not really. I'm watching John eating his pie, thinking about my sandwiches. We've got sun coming out. It keeps trying to break through, and we keep getting stunning views across the valley. So I think we've got plenty to occupy us while we're waiting for the data to collect with. And as you'd always expect on Tryfan, it's one of the best, isn't it?
It certainly is. Fantastic mountain. You just see the upper part of the North Ridge coming out of the mist behind you.
Yeah, doesn't that,
Graham,
doesn't that look fantastic?
Yeah, it just sort of looms up, doesn't it? And you can actually see the A5 down in the valley now.
Yeah, there's little ants going along it.
Yeah. Well, let's see if John's finished his pie, and I'll go and see John.
Started the second one now.
So, are you pleased, John, with all the setup and
I think we've done well because previously when we came up and did the recce, we actually set it up on this block because we didn't have the full length of poles that we've got today. So we knew the technique that we were going to try and set up on this block, but we had never done it before. A little bit of concern when we first started that the cables didn't seem to be operating properly and picking up satellites, but fortunately we resolved that. We've been able to run a shorter cable over the top of the block down to the lower side, so that was resolved. So yeah, looks pretty stable, good setup.
It's a very good setup, isn't it?
Yeah, so hopefully if we can get good data, that's fine. Yeah.
And the great thing compared to the recce, when we did the recce, of course, the climbing rock was stabilising the top of the pole and antennae dish against the rocks about 3 metres out from the blocks.
That's right, yeah.
So if anybody hit those, it would jolt the...
Yeah, and somebody did, didn't they?
Yeah, but this setup is really good.
That's going to be secure, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, cheers everybody. Thank you.